So we've got the privilege of being the very first pod in FuturePrint's PodFEST in the heart of London, right in the West End, and so much to talk about. I don't know how we're going to fit all of this in. I have two very special guests, and we've got a topic about brand building brands beyond short-term marketing. And the topic we're going to try and discuss is modern marketing has become very fast-paced, very short-term. Results are measured instantly, and maybe it's time for some help in the marketing mix to get messages across that stay and dwell. And my first guest nearest to me is Dr. Chris Jones. He describes himself as a practitioner and a pedagogue. So the antithesis of the saying that those who can't do teach. I first met Dr. Chris at Ravensbourne University, where he leads an MBA course, as well as being senior lecturer in Marcoms and management. And there's a whole list of different educational establishments you're working with, but I think the thing you're most proud of is the boutique consultancy, the Ministry of Marketing Effectiveness.
Yes, I am. Thanks for that lovely introduction. And the Ministry of Marketing Effectiveness is something that I hold dear because it enables me to not only work in academia, but apply the relevant evidence-based approaches in industry and take whatever in industry and apply it in academia. So it gives me the best of both worlds. So I have one foot in academia and one foot in industry.
Absolutely. And I believe there's a book in the making. We'll get a chance to plug that later.
Yes, I've completed a book called Creativity, the Cure for Resource-Constrained Business, that looks at how creativity can be used as a strategic amplifier for SMEs and other businesses which represent 99% of the UK business population that are short on cash, but if they're clever and cute, can use creativity, which print is part of that, to gain a strategic advantage over their bigger rivals.
Yeah, good. And next to Chris is
No,
so
I wish I was. I wish I was.
Elena Knight. Your LinkedIn strapline says you're freelance digital marketing, but I immediately jumped to a conclusion, which was wrong, because I read further on. You've been involved in print for quite a while. You've been doing Marcoms for Czar, well-known inkjet supplier. You've been working with FuturePrint on events and marketing for 3 years, and before that, experience in packaging, the wine trade, and marine environmental services.
Yes,
so
I've been across the board, quite technical all the way through, but come back to my roots with FuturePrint.
Right, so print always drags people back in. Do you find that?
It's a really interesting sort of industry, and it's multifaceted, and especially working for FuturePrint, we work across the whole supply chain. Our customers are ink suppliers, they're software creators, they're packaging printers, so it's really interesting. Never bored.
Yeah, okay. I better introduce myself. I'm Mark Stephenson. I'm here representing the IPIA, the Independent Print Industries Association. And we have a mission to make print part of the marketing mix. That's one of our things. I'm freelance myself. I worked with Fujifilm for 27 years until March, and then my life changed. And now I'm a host and presenter, and really honored to be in such great company today. We have got a lot of work to do. Let's give you this opening statement, okay? As digital channels become faster and more saturated, many brands are reconsidering the value of physical media, tangible experiences, and slower forms of engagement. What role can channels like print play in rebuilding trust, attention, and long-term brand value? And in this first section, I really want to discuss how print is permanent. And Chris, I know we've been talking earlier, and you talked about some figures where they studied dwell time on direct mail.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've come to realize is that print is a communications industry, hidden secret, and it's also a secret weapon. So there is a continuous debate, which I find redundant, where there's the debate between print and digital. Now, here's the thing. The dwell time on digital, the data says it's 2% based from Karen Nelson's field research. from Amplified Intelligence. She says in order for a piece of communication in a digital space to be memorable, it has to obtain a dwell time of 2%. Now here's the thing. The dwell time on any printed piece of communication is 108 seconds.
Ah, okay.
And it has, and that's over 28 days, and it has a touch point, or what we call, well, it has 4.5 times engagement in the home. So what does that mean? It means that I don't know how you measure half of a person, but 4 persons will come in contact with that piece of printed engagement with a dwell time of 108 seconds over 28 days. Now, if you look at it from that point of view, print is by far the most effective channel. And the point as an effectiveness practitioner is not to say print is better, digital is better. One is better than the other. My argument is and will always be multiplicative. It's multiplicative. So print plus digital multiplies and amplifies the return. So if you aren't considering print as part of your marketing mix, you are missing out on a significant effectiveness uplift.
Yeah.
So that's my argument regarding, and it's evidence-based, it's done, it's proven. If I could pay for dwell time of 108 seconds, why am I squabbling over dwell time of 2 seconds? It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
And this may come back to something that we speak about later on about the education of the impact and knowledge that print has and print can contribute to the whole marketing mix ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also I feel print is something different. So it's not just a barrage of quick-fired messages that are being sent to you with a dwell time of 2 seconds each time. It's just different, so it cuts through the noise a little bit better. And I think we proved that at FuturePrint. So FuturePrint, we're a platform who connects print buyers, be that, print technology, so it could be software, it could be inks, it could be ink supply systems, but we connect them with their customers. So our job is basically to send out a message and hope that everyone receives it. So when we did an event last year in Munich, it was our first event, it was in Germany, we took the decision to do digital and a mailed roll.
Wow.
And it outperformed our expectations totally. And I think it's just, it cuts through the noise, it lands on their desk. It's the dwell time. We've got, 108 seconds versus 2.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, really, for us anyway.
So, Elena, as a freelance marketer,
Yeah.
do you find your potential customers or your customers can become too obsessed with measurability?
Absolutely. And I think we're confusing measurability with effectiveness. So it's easy to measure the last click. You've got the data. You can see what's happening. And I think with print, it's sort of got a bad name. But I think we'll talk about that later, moving forward, it's actually becoming more measurable. So it's closing that gap.
Yeah.
Can I just add a point to what Elena just said? There, in behavioral science, there's a term for what Elena just described. It's called the McNamara fallacy. And what that is, the term came from the Vietnam War, where the general who was in charge of the Vietnam operation, his focus was measuring the success of the Vietnam War on body counts. Yes, so he was looking at the amount of persons, that the bombings had killed, rather than looking at the moral and looking at the effectiveness of other areas. So what is happening in marketing is that, as Elena said, we are measuring, well, not we, marketers are measuring the clicks, the easy to measure data, the easy to measure attribution for last click, rather than measuring penetration, brand growth, brand salience, consideration. So what that then does, and it's an act of corruption, and it's an act of omission, because what it does, it omits one of the more significant part of a marketing communication strategy, which is to gain more customers and prove what's the brand consideration, what's the brand health, what's the brand matrix, what's going on. And if marketers are only concerned about last clicks, they're missing a massive treat.
Absolutely. And I think the pressure on the marketers is to sort of go to the finance director and say, I need £100,000 to
They're becoming
do
the
this.
enemy of marketing, aren't they, finance
So
people?
I think they just, because they're numbers people, analytical, they want to see if it's effective or not. Or, if it's measurable, not if it's effective. I think we'll touch on that later, but is it measurable? And I guess that's where the pressure comes
But
from
it
as well.
ignores the human aspect. Just like this
Absolutely.
McNamara
fallacy.
fallacy is you're counting bodies like they're just numbers.
Yeah.
And you're missing the totality of the picture. So you've come across a map and you're using a map without looking at the entirety of the picture. You're looking at a map of central London and thinking that is the entirety of London. You're missing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think performance marketing sometimes harvests the sort of the benefit that we get or marketers get from the printed, the tactile, the packaging. That's where the brand equity is built, really. It's that whole building trust over time. And then we measure the last click and then it's attributed to that. So I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there.
Sorry, Mark, that is a fantastic analogy, because what it is showing and what it corroborates with is, because something is difficult or more challenging to measure, the marketing industry, some marketing practitioners, particularly those, and I'm sure we're going to get some pushback from the performance marketers, the digital marketers and other. What they do, they measure what is easiest and most easy to attribute rather than what we spoke about earlier.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and it gives them a quick response because the sales teams and everybody else is looking for that.
And I understand the quarterly pressures, but here is the conundrum. And a very famous friend of mine, Les Bennett, spoke about the long and short of it. We can plot across a 6 to 12 month period how those performance metrics will look. It will go up, go down, go up, go down, rather than a long continual rise. And that's because every quarter you engage in the same performance marketing, where you give an incentive or you look at the matrix, you do some Google searches, you do something to try and generate demand. But once you take that off, once a Google search stops, the demand goes down. Now, if you incorporate, say for example, a print communication, a door drop in that would then supplement your digital comms. That would then increase the uplift. And we've seen data where 54% of digital communication, but 54% of communications that involve a mail comms has a profitable outcome. We've seen data where 70% of Gen Z say they prefer being contacted by mail. So there's a plethora of data points that support including mail as part of the communication ecosystem.
Yeah. I think behavioral science comes in here, doesn't it? With memory retention, people remembering a campaign, remembering information, as against just seeing it fleeting on the screen.
Yes, you have to be present, I think, for it to stick. And if you're on your phone scrolling or wherever you're being targeted at, you're not in the room. You're competing with so many other things, whereas I think print is earning its place for that attention.
Sorry if I'm turning this into a deep dive into academic literature, but you mentioned
I find it fascinating, by the way, all these different studies and theories.
So you mentioned about behavioral science, and one of the key components of behavioral science that ties directly to the print industry is there's one that's called the principle of reciprocity. So when a piece of printed communication is posted through the door, what that then does, it has something that's called a signaling effect. So what is a signaling effect? The signaling effect is essentially saying that, okay, someone took the time to put my name on a piece of information, it's come through the door. That signals to me, 1, time, 2, cost, 3, commitment. And then the reciprocity component kicks in. If they've gone through all this effort to send me this piece of communication, sure, the least I could do is visit your website. Sure, the least I could do is see what they're selling. Sure, the least I could do is engage with other forms of communication. And because we know that print is more trusted than television, the data supports that. When a piece of print comes through the door, it is viewed as a trusted format. So when print,
It's like a psychological contract almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So because the content is not as important as the medium. So what do I mean by the medium? The medium is print. Print is trusted. So when print lands through your door, I would argue that I have rarely seen a piece of communication come through my door with my name on it and I have not opened it.
Yep.
And I have not engaged with it. And 95% of mails that is sent to home addresses are opened and engaged with.
Yep.
That's more than comms. That's more than digital comms.
Has that changed over time? Because I think there was a time when a direct mail piece might not have been quite as...
Yes, junk mail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
junk
I haven't
mail had
heard that phrase
a
for a long
bad
time.
name, and I think because of all the digital barrage, it's sort of come back up.
Yes.
So
Come
what
full
the
circle.
data shows, so I haven't looked at the empirical data from many years ago, but the most recent studies from 2020 shown that the effectiveness of mail has increased. So it hasn't decreased with the advance of the digital proliferation. It has actually increased. So one key point I'd like to add as well, in 2020, then Prime Minister Richard Sunak went on the Guardian newspaper and Observer and said that the 2020 election will be the first TikTok election.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember that.
He was
Yeah.
wrong.
Yes.
He was wrong. And some research done by Market Reach showed that mail was one of the deciding factors in turning the election. Because of the same thing that we've been speaking about, how trusted of a communication, how people view the medium of mail as opposed to digital.
Yeah.
So the trust component has significantly increased.
Yeah. So Elena, the people who say print is dead generally say, look at newspapers. You know, circulations are down, pagination is down, and you tell me it's a trusted media, but nobody really trusts what they read in the papers anymore.
Yes.
So what's changed?
Well, I think the gap is closing a little bit between digital and the physical print. Now, bringing this back to packaging, because that's where we are sort of sitting as FuturePrint, but the change from the barcode going into the QR code, for example, you're printing on a physical package and you are allowing the people to then scan that QR code and you're serving them with details on provenance, details on sustainability, allergens, and it's all in their own language. So what you're doing is you're creating a piece of print, essentially, and you're making it a live digital experience. So I think it's all converging more, and it's all just becoming more trusted. And I don't think the whole QR code thing is just because of the regulations coming in, the EU passport, the product passport, all the regulations that are changing. I think it's just about trying to harness the efficiency of digital with the effectiveness of print.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're looking at here.
Yep. Because you can make some brilliant charts and graphs of the efficiency of digital communications.
Yeah.
But it's harder to say, well, which part of my campaign actually drew that person in?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They saw something in the mail and ignored it. They put it down. Then a friend talked to them about it. Then they saw something online. Then they remembered, hang on, didn't I get something in the mail about that? And they go back. But what's measured? You know, we were saying earlier, it's the click that gets measured.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my view is that the debate around print being dead is a somewhat reductive view, because most persons, well, not most persons who are saying print is dead and they reference newspapers, they are suffering from the McNamara fallacy, because they are omitting a significant ecosystem of other print activities, not just newspapers.
Yeah.
So packaging, QR code,
Even just
out of home. I mean,
books
books,
with the
there
Kindle.
is-
I thought all the books would stop being printed, but it's not the case.
there is the debate between digital, where print is dead and digital is taken over, is a reductive one. It's that debate should be dead.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense. Because print amplify digital if you use both of them. If you use, most newspapers have a print component. They have a digital component.
Yeah.
You can subscribe to digital component, and you can also pick up a newspaper and you. So it's a reductive one. It's a debate. It's a silly debate, and it's a debate had by people that aren't quite informed and don't quite understand. I mean, there's a famous saying that the person who invented water isn't a fish, because you are in the midst of it, but you still don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is the issue with print. It's so, what's the word I'm looking for? So omnipresent,
Yeah.
you ignore it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. You don't
I mean,
appreciate it. Yeah.
in terms of communication effectiveness, out of home billboards are one of the most effective form of communications, but that is harder. That's very hard to measure, and it's harder to measure than digital campaigns. So what do? We don't count out of home as an effective communication channel, which oftentimes has a component in print.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, I've told this story before, and I've probably told it on a podcast somewhere, and I hope it wasn't the one I did with Marcus just recently. But 30 odd years ago, I was selling Apple Macintosh computers, over 30 years ago. And I went to a presentation with Apple, and somebody stood at the front with a CD-ROM, and they held it up and they said, "The book is dead."
Yeah.
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 And, you know, we all sort of thought, because they wind you up at these events anyway. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
The book's probably dead. But it's not. And the value, again, it comes back to that behavioral science thing, doesn't it? About when you're holding something in your hand, you feel the weight.
Tactility.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got something there that says, well, this means something.
Yeah.
Significant. It's signal that this has, the person who's done this or has given me this has engaged in a significant effort. So therefore it's valid. So it composes, it has a number of components that signals value.
Yeah.
Signals value. It's not ephemeral such as the typical digital communication. We come into contact with it and we scroll across it. We would run it for 2 seconds and scroll across it. When we get something that's in a tactile form, it's almost visceral, because we really come into contact with these things anymore. And that is my argument as to why it is so effective. And it's not just my argument. Empirical evidence supports it.
Research. Kahneman, I think, did some research. I read something about the slow versus fast thinking.
Yeah.
And print is definitely a considered slower sort of process when you've got something in your hand. And I think that's where it earns its trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking fast, thinking slow. Daniel Kahneman. Won the first prize. He won the first Nobel Prize in economics, and the book was around psychology, on behavioral economics. And it is true, when things, and he spoke about fast, thinking slow, where you do 99% of your thinking with the right side of the brain, which is the fast part, and they use the slow part to rubber stamp the decision made by the fast part. And that's where he speaks about tactility and about how things encode memory. So, for example, if you come into contact with a piece of comms that is distinctive, it is memorable, the right side of the brain, the fast part of the brain, will rubber stamp it. And that's why print as a form of communication encodes memory more than ephemeral digital comms.
With the marketing platforms available to digital marketing, such as Google and AI, moving so quickly, and almost like the rug's being pulled from under these people who have a set formula that works, and then the next day they wake up and the algorithm's changed. For example, I was talking to somebody from a fashion magazine. They were talking about their Instagram account, where they made as much money through their Instagram account as some of their advertising, because they were sharing about the current trends, even to the point where if in the Traitors TV series, Claudia Winkleman walks into the room wearing a certain cardigan or pair of trousers, they would immediately have a team looking for it, where you could get it from, building an affiliate link, and then posting it onto Instagram so that people would click and purchase, and they would get their percentage. But when AI starts to get more ubiquitous, people are bypassing that. They're going to AI and saying, what's Claudia wearing? So is this a chance for us to say to these industries, hey, we've got a chance here with print to build on a stable platform. It's not changing every 5 minutes and is more trusted, and you get more bang for your buck. How can we get that word out there that these things are important?
Okay, so I did a postgraduate in traditional marketing. I did a postgraduate in digital marketing, and
That's why we've got you here.
yes. So in sort of the digital marketing sector, we did not talk about the efficacy of print. So I think there's a gap there. I think it needs to be taught in academia, and the awareness needs to be built. It needs to be taught in colleges and universities. And I think you're probably best placed to talk more about that.
Yeah, so that segue is brilliant, by the way, Elena. So academia suffers from the McNamara fallacy. I think that's my new behavioral science.
I'm
term.
all in with this. Yeah.
Because what it does, it focuses on easy to measure things, digital platform, digital this, digital marketing, blah, blah, blah. But what it has done, it has neglected an entire communication channel that has been proven to be more effective than typical digital communication channel. Now, the argument is not digital or print. And the operative word is or. It's digital and print. So you've taught digital. Why haven't you taught print? Why haven't you looked at the effectiveness of print? We know digital is efficient, but efficiency without effectiveness is a pathway to going bankrupt. Because at some point, you can gain efficiency. Very rarely can you gain effectiveness. So there's a two-pronged approach. Academia needs to have a long look at itself in what it does, how it does it. Professional bodies do a good amount of work with trying to increase the visibility of the effectiveness of print. But academia needs to have a good look at itself. Secondly, the print industry is doing a relatively good job of trying to communicate to the next generation, but it needs to do more. It needs to do significantly more. It needs to do more. It needs to show that print is not a staid old. It's not newspaper. It's not newspaper. There are an ubiquitous and a variety of various components within the print industry that could be and would be attractive to the next generation. Now, the second thing is you spoke about AI and AI posing an opportunity. It does pose an opportunity because when it comes back to trust, AI, well, ChatGPT shouldn't just say broad AI. ChatGPT has an error rate of 20%. Now, a fifth of the time, the answer you get is wrong in ChatGPT. And when it's not wrong, it hallucinates. It makes up stuff.
It doesn't like to say it's right
I
and
think
wrong.
you
It
get
doesn't
out
know.
what you put in. So if you use it in the right way, it's very effective. But if you don't, I think it then becomes a bit blurred.
Yeah, it comes a bit blurred. And sometimes when you ask it questions, it is reluctant to say, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
So it makes up something. So that again comes back to the original point of print being a trusted medium. There is an opportunity where, depending on how it's packaged, print could be in its various forms a support to the technological, because print is basically a tech platform now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, coming back to the QR codes, you know, that transition, that is in itself, it just shows when, you know, Marks and Spencer's are already using them at checkout, Tesco's is already trialing them at checkout. And I think it's just efficiency in a different way. And print quality.
It's engagement.
It's engagement. And then bringing it back to print, you know, the industry I'm from, the quality is going to matter more than.
Just going back to the age thing, do you find, Elena, when you're talking to people about marketing, the younger somebody is, the less aware they are of print and what it can do?
I think so, but I think it's coming back a little bit. I think people are pushing back, especially young people are sort of pushing back on that whole barrage of, you know, the being sold to just the ads. I think, I mean, you probably have someone who's, you know.
So the issue with the print ecosystem is that oftentimes students aren't aware of what it is, its effectiveness and how to access it. Now, the typical business student. So if you are from a creative background and a creative arts institution, you may have interaction with print, but that's at a executional level rather than at a strategic level where you are in charge of the planning and allocating of the budget. Now, what's surprising is that we did an activation with one of the IPIA partners, Epson, where we embedded a printing solution problem. I think it's called Epson Mona Lisa, where there was a number of challenges that they faced, and we embedded it across 2 programs on the MBA, 3 on the MBA, project management and business management undergraduate. And what we also did, we got the students to go and spend an immersive day at Epson. And we also had yourself and the general manager come down and had a talk with the students about offering various insights and pathways into print. Now, across those 2 activations, I think we had about 400 to 600 students, and we had 20 students go to the Epson Center. Now, what that has done, it has created awareness of an avenue and a communications platform that wasn't previously part of the consideration set.
And that's what impressed me going to Ravensbourne to talk to students. They were on their lunch break. And it was standing room only. The 200 or 300 students all rapt attention while me and Brendan spoke. They wanted to know more about print, and you could see their faces sort of switch on when they realized how much print there was in their daily lives and even in the room they were in. Do you think we need to educate the educators?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're not teaching it, are they?
They are. The part of print that is teaching is generally around design, the design component, and that's not taught in a business curriculum. So the component that's taught is around creativity from a branding point of view. But when it comes to a strategic allocation, strategic decision, and how print becomes part of that strategic communication deployment, it isn't being taught. How effectiveness is the print come, it isn't being taught. I've taught it since I've been at this institution. I've taught it at other institutions as well, because I've used the various tech platforms that Jigmail offer, that ThinkBox offer, to show students how you can plan a print campaign, how you can evaluate how your print campaign will work, how you can test your print copy before it goes to your customers. And Market Reach has a brilliant team that does eye tracking, and they can tell you where on that piece of communication that you will send, where people will likely to look. And that's where you put your call to action. So print is not a staid comms channel. Print is cutting edge if you are aware of what it is. So you are right, educators need to be educated, and they aren't.
What really resonated with me was when you said the Epson Day for students. So I went to an event the other day, and we asked them, what are the 3 things driving the market at the moment in print? And it was obviously sustainability, the volatility of the market. And the third one was staffing issues. They really need young people to come into print.
Absolutely.
And I think the way to do it is to do days like that, bring the students in, educate them, show them what print is all about, show them the machinery, show them, the inkjet printers firing out all these variable data packaging that resonates with people nowadays. I think
it's fascinating, because I was telling Brendan that I had a student, she's a student of Muslim background, she wears a hijab, and she went to the immersive day, and a couple hours later, she posted on LinkedIn, who says print is boring? She enjoyed her day. And she's not someone that you would have assumed would be attracted to the print industry, but she was. And she was quite engaged and quite pleased.
Okay.
I think we've run out of time.
Have we?
Yeah,
Okay, that
I think we
was
have.
quick. I think we only got halfway through what we actually wanted to say.
I think we've concluded print should be part of the marketing mix, for sure.
Yeah.
How people can access more data and information. Obviously, through FuturePrint,
Mm-hmm.
also through the IPIA's new narrative
Yeah.
for print.
Yes.
If you Google or ask your AI about any of those, then you'll get something. I'll leave you this thought. Going to young people to tell them about print and its effectiveness should go beyond further education. It should go into secondary schools, primary schools even. And that's, I think, should be part of our mission,
Absolutely.
to reach even further back and you know, get a child while they're young.
Absolutely, it's about awareness.
And bring
Raising it
awareness.
early.
But Elena, Chris, it's been
Oh,
fascinating.
My
Let's
pleasure.
go find a room and continue our conversation.
thank you. I'm going to have my 4th coffee now. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much for having me on the
Thanks,
panel today.
Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.